Hello and welcome to Coachmas Day 11. We're almost to the end. If you're new here, 12 days of Coachmas, basically me sitting in front of this camera, in front of my computer, in front of my iPad, basically just reacting to, commenting on content and concepts within the coaching industry over the course of 12 days throughout December. Okay, now that we've cleared that out of the way, you're new here, check out the playlist if you want to get caught up on the rest of the series. I didn't want to make this video today, specifically reading another carousel post on Instagram, but it got sent to me, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, you know what? We're gonna talk about it because this is ridiculous. Okay, no big long intro today. Let's get into the content. Shout out to my channel VIP members, and of course the billionaire tier, gym lessons, reaction therapy, all of my channel members, my subscribers. You guys are all the real MVPs. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, are you ready for this? I was sent the carousel post as well as a screen recording of this woman talking on her Instagram stories about the Instagram post itself. So I figured it would be helpful if we went through the Instagram post, then watch the stories, then we'll wrap it all up as per usual. Okay, let's go ahead and see. It says, in January, I charged $800 per month for my one-on-one coaching that included weekly calls and nearly 24/7 access. Last week, in a 24-hour period, I made $95K in sales and a multi 5 figures in cash. Here's what's changed. Okay, this is something I have never really clarified on my channel just because I think in my head I assumed everyone understood what it meant, but I received a DM last week on Instagram from someone who made me believe that they don't understand the difference between when someone says they made, 95K in sales and we'll say 10K in cash. These people don't mean like actual cash, like paper money. When they refer to cash, they mean sales into their bank account right now. So if I say I make $100,000 in sales in my business, I might be signing $100,000 in contracts with people who are eventually going to pay me that money. Whereas the cash sales refers to how many people paid in full, how much money I actually received. So again, let's say I sign up 10 clients at $10,000 each. That means I made $100,000 in sales. However, if all of those clients are on a 2-month payment plan where they're paying me $5,000 now and $5,000 next month, while I made $100,000 in sales, I only made $50,000 cash. So hopefully that clears things up if that was a point of confusion for anyone watching this video. I just thought it was important to address because it was coming up in my DMs more than once, and I figured maybe not everyone knows this. Okay, next slide. I obviously launched a program. This did not just come out of left field because I was in my vibe. I definitely was in my vibe, LOL, but high vibing isn't a launch strategy. I followed my own very strategical launch process that I have now done with 5 programs this year, all of which have been between $30,000 and $90,000 launches. My launch strategy is the best one out there, and my launches continue to get bigger every time because of these shifts I have made. 2, I drastically changed my messaging in my content. When I first started, I would work with anyone. Because I was just so excited to work with anyone, my messaging wasn't as specific. I also didn't fully know who my dream client was yet because I hadn't worked with enough people. Broad messaging equals average clients equals less fun equals less excitement to show up, less excitement to show up equals less money will be made. As I worked with more clients, I got more clear and specific on who I wanted to work with, and I changed my content to align with that one person only. Okay, a couple things I want to talk about here. So first of all, I don't disagree. I think in business, it is really important, especially if you're in a service-based business, to know who your ideal client is. I have a whole video that talks about that right here, and figure out a way to craft your messaging to speak to that specific person because, like she's saying, if we try to appeal to everyone, we often end up either with clients who don't really fit the service we provide, or we end up in a situation where we have to do work we don't want to do. Sure. However, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking she's basically saying, in my opinion, the people she worked with at the beginning of her business earlier this year were anyone, her words, not mine. And so if I was someone who was a client of hers back in January or February of this year, I would probably be offended if I read this post because it's saying average clients are less fun. Then that would make me feel like I was a burden to her. And it's just like, it seems kind of rude to people who you've worked with in the past to be like,
my old clients used to be so terrible, but now they're so much better because my messaging is so much better.
Like, check yourself. If you're gonna put people on blast, maybe don't do it publicly on an Instagram post. But perhaps I'm reading this wrong. Just as I was reading it, that's all I could think was like, if I was one of her original clients, I would feel a little bit offended by this post. Number 3, I let go of things that were working and paying me well, but no longer making me happy. I was running my business coaching and fitness business at the same time for half of 2023. I was bringing in 5 figures a month from my fitness business, but I wasn't happy showing up up in it. In June, I canceled multiple 5 figures worth of sales in my fitness business to go fully all in on my business coaching. I trusted myself and went big, even though it logically didn't make sense to let go of guaranteed money, but the month after that was my highest cash month ever. A tale as old as time. We have seen this one countless times here on this channel. The fitness coach that gives up their fitness coaching business to become a business coach, presumably for fitness coaches. I don't know if this person is a business coach for fitness coaches, but it still follows the same narrative nonetheless. Number 4, I upped my standards for who I allowed in my closer proximity spaces and fired some clients. There was a time I felt dread opening Voxer and Slack because I knew it was going to be a message from someone who was trying everything but it wasn't working, even though trying everything meant posting the link to buy on Instagram stories once and no one bought it. When I spent time coaching people to take action instead of coaching people as they took action, it took time and energy away from my dream clients who deserved me at my best. When I upped my standards, I had way more fun. The more fun you have, the better you show up. The better you show up, the more money you make. Again, this is coming off as like a little bit arrogant, a little bit like,
oh, my clients are so annoying. I hate that people pay me and I actually have to do my job. Ugh.
Personally don't like it, personally wouldn't make a post like this, but I am not this person and I'm also not in the coaching industry. So a lot of the stuff they do and say is stuff that I would never do or say. So what do I know? Number 5, I really actually began to realize how good I am at this, and I allowed myself to fully own it. I scaled quickly, and for a while my mind didn't match my reality. I kept thinking I needed more time in the game to be worthy of making more money. I realized that was all bullshit and nothing but a story I told myself to try to make my quick make sense. But me scaling quickly actually makes so much sense. I scaled quickly because I am exceptional at what I do, and I followed my intuition when it logically made no sense at all. I would actually hazard to guess that the reason why you felt you needed more time in the game in order to make more money is because you needed more time in the game to make more money. Just like we see over and over and over again in the coaching industry, people with little to no experience show up, hire a coach that tells them,
you can start charging $10,000 because you're worth it.
They play mental gymnastics with themselves long enough to convince themselves, you know what?
If Sarah over here is doing it, I might as well too.
They convince themselves,
I don't need experience. I just need to act as though I'm worth this amount of money.
and then they go ahead and raise their prices, and then that's how they're able to scale so quickly, not because they necessarily have the skills to provide people with a service that's worth that amount of money, but because they've convinced themselves and let their ego get so big that they think they're worthy of making that amount of money. I don't know if I even said that correctly, but I'm hoping that those of you who have been here on my channel long enough know what I'm trying to say here. Just because you want to make a certain amount of money doesn't mean you actually have the skills and the experience enough to be charging people that amount of money for your services. I don't like it. Okay, I think it's gonna get even worse. I am worthy of making a fuckload of money because I am great at what I do. If you're making $10,000, it's because you're great at what you do. That's a lie. That's not true. The most significant difference between $10,000 and $50,000 months is believing you're worthy of $50,000 months. And yes, obviously there's strategy. You will not get there without a customized strategy that allows you to scale there, but you can learn a strategy and implement. But you don't need more talent or skill to go from 10K to 20K months to 50 to 100K months. When I fully embrace that, I doubled my income from June to July and haven't gone back down since. Again, this really feeds into the, in my opinion, delusional belief that all you have to do is convince yourself that you're worth more money, therefore you can start charging people more money. This reminds me of one of the original reaction videos I did on this channel. I will try and link it in the cards up here. But basically in that video, the coach was explaining that if you want to charge people more money, you don't have to actually provide more value. You just have to show up more confidently in the way that you deliver the content that you have or the teachings that you want to share, which in my opinion is not really an ethical way to run a business, nor is it like the correct way to do things. Just because I believe in myself doesn't make the information that I'm sharing any more valuable. In fact, I would actually say that a lot of the times people who do show up as like overly confident are actually compensating for the fact that they don't have the skills and they don't have the knowledge. So just because you believe that you're worthy of, what does it say, 50 to 100K months, doesn't actually mean that you have the talent or the skill needed to be able to charge people those prices. Again, delusional in my opinion, really ties into ego, and to me just goes to prove how out of touch with reality so many of the people in this industry are. Because I'm sure that this was a learned behavior. I'm not saying that whoever this person is like invented this mindset. I've definitely seen it from other large scale coaches, and I'm assuming her mentor was the one that taught her this. Last slide is just a pitch for her program, so I'm not going to pop it up on the screen, but I will play the screen recording that was sent to me.
It is still mind-blowing to me that in January of this year, I charged $800 for like 24/7 access, a call every week, so much. But I remember signing that first client and thinking like, I am on top of the world right now. Because I got to finally do the work that I really wanted to do in a closer proximity, and I knew I was good at it. I knew I was going to kill it. And it's like looking back at that versus now, like so much can change in such a short period of time. Like a year ago, I believe it though. Like I would believe it. If I told myself a year ago I would be here, I'd be like, of course you are. Of course you are. Like you just have it in you. You just have it and you just follow it and you just move and you're just doing all of these things. And it's just like, it really does get to be this good. I'm just mind blown right now. I'm literally mind blown. Like it really does get to be this way. And I'm like literally speechless. Like I usually can just talk, but right now I'm just like, I can't believe it. But at the same time, I believe it so much. This is really tiny, but this is slide 5 of my carousel post, I think, that I just posted, 5 or 6, whatever. I allowed myself to just recognize and own the fact that I'm really good at this work. And I think so many people downplay their work and they're like, oh, like I'm good, but I could be better. Oh, I'm good, but like, oh, I'm good, but they're also good and they're also good. Like just allow yourself to be fucking good at what you do and just own it and stop trying to make an excuse and stop trying to say, oh, I need to be more head to be better or I need to be on that person's level. Just allow yourself to be so good where you are and own the fact that you're good. Like you don't have to make an excuse. You don't have to downplay your work. You don't have to make it seem like you're not amazing. And when you own the fact that you're just good at what you do, you are going to show up differently. You're going to say things differently. Your content's going to be different. Your energy, your confidence, your leadership, your personal power, all of those things are going to be different when you just allow yourself to own that you are so fucking good at what you do. And I know you're good at what you do. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing this. Allow yourself to own it. Seriously, breathe it and own it.
Okay, I don't totally disagree. Yeah, it's important to be confident in the work that you do, but then when you're using that confidence as a way to manipulate people to pay you more money, that's when it's a no from me.
Obviously, a strategy is required. Like I did not just wake up one day and just decide I was gonna like be in my vibe and just make $50,000 and more every single month. Like, of course, like I did think those things, but like there is a strategy that's involved. And it's not just waking up and winging a couple things and putting together a couple things and hoping that it's going to happen. It's strategical offers, it's strategical pricing, and it's building an offer suite around your life and not the other way around. Like everybody's different. Everybody wants to do this a slightly different way, which is totally fine based on their lifestyle. Some people have kids. Some people would rather be on more calls. Some people would rather do less calls. Some people don't want to do calls at all. There are so many ways that you can do this, and realizing that, and I'm like, oh, I can pick and choose and design this however way I want. And there are so many ways that work. And I've done this in multiple ways that work. And I've helped my clients do this in multiple ways that work as well. So you can build an offer suite that will take you to $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month in a way that works for you. And like yours is not going to be the same as somebody else's.
So then this is a screenshot from one of her clients who she says was her first one-on-one client. And the client said, I was lucky enough to be one of those one-on-one clients back in January, and it was incredible. We both have come so far in less than a year. Thank you again. You're the real deal. It's mind-blowing to me that I somehow tracked you down off of someone else's Instagram page and was able to hire you. Legit such a blessing. And then this coach says, dude, look at you now. And then the client said, legit, I look back at where I was in January with no income, and now I can't freaking believe it. And then the Instagram slide says, from no income to making more money this year in her own business than ever. So proud of you. So this was the last slide that I didn't show, but it's just promoting her programs. And she says, depending on where you are and where you want to go will depend on what your next move should be. My offer for scaling to 10K, or I have a power for scaling to multiple 5 figures next month with consistent MRR and unstoppable confidence. Okay, so for context, in this specific slide, MRR is not referring to master resale rights, if that's what you were thinking. If you haven't seen my video on master resale rights, you should click here. I'm assuming she's referring to monthly recurring revenue. In the day and age that we live in as a digital marketer, you should probably not be using the acronyms just because other people who aren't as knowledgeable as me might get confused. But honestly, the first time I read this over, I was like, wait, does she sell MRR? But no, she's referring to monthly recurring revenue. So if you want to learn how to make, multiple 5 figures every month, she's going to show you how to do that. Okay, and then it's showing that she sold another spot in her mastermind, and then you can click to apply if you want to make a multiple 6-figure year. Last slide says, everything I do just works. Everything I launch sells. Every offer I make, people buy. I've had multiple 5-figure launches all year on everything I've launched. There is a strategy to this. Yes, I'm in my energy, but yes, this also requires strategical and aligned action. We don't wing shit here. No fluff. Serious business building only. Is strategical a word? Don't we just say strategic? Also requires strategic and aligned action. That would be correct, right? Somebody let me know in the comments. Is strategical a word? Because it sounds weird. Anyway, that's just me being nitpicky. Again, I think this slide clearly shows the ego at play here, the false confidence and belief in self that she can deliver on her promises. Not saying she can't, but based on what else I've seen in the coaching industry, I'm going to assume that if I'm not a coach and I hire her to be my coach, she's not going to help me grow my business. She's going to tell me to also become a coach to coach other coaches, just based on what I've seen in the industry overall as a whole. If you've been here a while, you know. All right, friends, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching Coachmas Day 11. I will see you tomorrow for the last and final video of this series. We've almost made it. Thank you so much for being here. If you missed Coachmas Day 10, I'm gonna pop it up on the screen here. Take care, comb your hair, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!